Welcome to the Transformative Pathways Podcast with your host, Jason Doby. Join Jason as he explores the many ways to unlock personal growth, mindfulness, and spiritual transformation. So now, please welcome the host of Transformative Pathways, Jason Doby.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jason Doby, founder of Transformative Pathways Life Coaching. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our topic for today's episode is From the Kitchen to the Mic, a chef's journey into purpose and personal growth, with our guest, Sean Mills, who is joining us today from Fergus, Ontario. Sean is a seasoned chef with nearly 3 decades of experience in the culinary world. Currently, he's the head chef at the Handsome Devil Bistro in Elora, Ontario. Sean's journey began with a passion for art that led him into butchery and eventually into the high-energy world of professional kitchens. Over the years, he's not only sharpened his skills behind the line, but also gone through deep personal transformations, navigating addiction, rediscovering balance through fitness and self-care, and reconnecting with his creative roots. He's now the host of Olives and Pimento, a podcast that started with food and evolved into a celebration of indie and punk rock music. Sean brings heart, grit, and authenticity into everything that he does. Sean, welcome to the show, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us today, man.
Hey, Jay. It's been a long time. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, man. How's everything going?
Good, man. Just it's cold and crisp on a Tuesday morning in Fergus, Ontario.
Yeah, that's my hometown. Did you know that? That's where I grew up.
I did know that. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
good old Fergus.
Yeah, man. You and I have known each other for I don't know, better half of 20 plus years.
Yeah, 20 years. I was going to say it was over 20 years ago. We went to cooking school together. We used to carpool to school, and we did our apprenticeship together at the Millcroft Inn in Alton, Ontario, just outside of there.
Yeah, that's my hometown.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now you're working in Elora.
Mm-hmm.
And I started my cooking journey at the Elora Mill, and that's before I moved to Orangeville. I was working at the Elora Mill.
Yeah, I know. Recently, they restored the Elora Mill about, I'm going to say 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. I'm not too sure, but it's a lot different now than what you grew up with.
Yeah. It's it wasn't all fancy when I worked there. It was didn't have the fancy kitchen when I was there. That's for sure. Awesome, man. Well, it's so great to have you on the show, John. Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much for joining us. And I guess to kick things off, I'd love for you to share your journey with everyone and what pulled you into the world of cooking, and how did that path eventually evolve to lead you to start your own podcast?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I was supposed to be. What the hell is going on my computer right now? There we go. I was supposed to do art, like funny pages, cartooning and stuff like that. And then at one point I was working at a butchery shop after high school, and it was carving and slicing meat. And then from there, I said, wow, I like food. I'm also a big dude. So I said, why not get a job in a kitchen? So I did. And and then started my apprenticeship, and then I've been cooking for the better half of 27 years. And with the podcast, it started off like a cooking podcast, and then I realized that my second passion is independent punk rock and indie music and songs that are 3.5 minutes and 4 minutes long, and albums that are under, let's say, 29 minutes.
Right. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
And where did you start cooking? Like, you grew up in Orangeville area. Did you start at the Millcroft Inn, or did you start somewhere else?
No, actually, I started for the Care Corporation at Montana's.
Okay.
And I worked for that corporation for a good 2 to 3 years, and then I started went to liaison college for a year, and then I wasn't getting what I needed from the private college. So then I applied at the Millcroft Inn and did an apprenticeship, and I met your lovely face.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. It's great. I still like see people from those days too, like Chef Jason Parsons. I see him every now and again. And do you
How's
remember?
he doing?
He's doing good. Yeah, he's great. Yeah, he's doing great. I actually, I sell seafood on the side too as my day job. So I sell lobster and stuff to those guys. So I'm in their kitchen sometimes every week, so I get to see him. So it's really cool. It's really cool. I walk in there and I hear his voice, and it just brings me back to those days, like 20 years ago. It's pretty.
Brings you to tears.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, not so much. Not so much.
No,
I was lucky. I worked breakfast and stuff, so I was never. I was there in the morning, so I was never there for like the crazy dinner service stuff. And then on Garde Manger, we kind of had our own little section in the corner there. We were separated from the main kitchen and the chaos. And do you remember Chef Stewart?
I do.
You remember
actually,
Stewart?
Big Stu.
Yeah, he was one of my customers too. He lives in Niagara, so I see him from time to time. He actually just reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. He's a good guy too.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So tell me a little bit about the place you're working now, the Handsome Devil Bistro. What's that all about? Like, what kind of food are you guys doing there?
We do like sort of like comfort food. We do a lot of smoked food. Like we have a really good smoked brisket. But it's a bistro, so basically we can do basically anything we want. So anything that we feel like doing that week, or anything anything that catches our eye. We change the menu up at least 4 times a year, and there's always daily specials on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Sunday. But Delore is busy, really busy in the summer. So
yeah, that's awesome. And so it's a good place to work. Like, do you get like full range of what you put on the menu, or do the owners kind of dictate what kind of style you have to do? Is there a certain like a frame you have to stay within?
Not really. Well, like the 3 owners, myself, we work as a team, right? And I learned this a couple of years ago. Like you can't, like the chef doesn't control everything, right? Like you have to make sure of what the owners want. You have to sit there and make sure like you come across as a team and work together, right? Like the whole guard of the chef's always right, and this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. It doesn't really make sense, because at the end of the day, the chef's not paying the rent, right? The owners are. So we have a good team and good communication on what happens at the restaurant. So.
Oh, that's great. And I know myself, like being a chef, it can be challenging when you have some ideas you want to put on the menu, but then at the end of the day, the owners get the final say. So I know I learned that the hard way in my first head chef job, going through all that. But then you just got to kind of, like you said, learn to work together. And, it's good that you're able to be creative and do what you want to do. What's your culinary team like there? Is it a small?
Usually, right now, like it's a lot of kids, like around like from 17 to 21, right? And so like a lot of them are just looking for extra spending money, and then you got the odd kid that wants to sit there and wants to learn something, which is amazing, right? And to sit there and this is what I've always said to any apprentices that I've had. There's always, how do I say this? Regardless of what you want to do in life, okay? Like if you're like a computer tech or a plumber or whatever, right? At the end of the day, okay, if that falls through, then you have another trade that you already know how to do. Because at the end of the day, like the restaurant industry is always hiring, and there's always a job. So it's a good backup thing to know, if you know what I mean. Like if the first thing you don't want to do doesn't work out, you got something else to fall back on, and also to like you You may not get the hours at the daytime job that you really wanted. And it's like, okay, well, I need to pay rent or I need to pay my mortgage. Oh, wait a minute. I know how to cook now. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Sean taught me this and stuff like that.
Yeah. And kitchens are always looking for staff too. So you can always get a job.
Oh,
Like if I wanted a kitchen job right now, I could get a kitchen job like within the hour and just make a couple
yeah.
calls. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. And, Sean,
Well, you're
you've
a
been
pretty
in the
good
industry.
chef too, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't want to work in a kitchen anymore. Yeah, that lead me into my next thing. Like how have you kept your passion for working in the kitchen after all these years? Because I know, like for myself, the last 15 years I was in the kitchen. I guess I could say I hated it. I hated my life, and that's when I decided to finally leave. But we were talking the other day, and you said you still love it. So I'm just wondering, like how you keep that passion in such a difficult industry.
I guess it's like two things. Like the first thing is like you have to have the right partner, right? You your partner has to understand what you do for a living and what your passion is for the living. Um, like you work late hours, you work most holidays, you work weekends. Um, and having a partner that understands your drive and what you want to do for a living, it really helps keeping you in the industry. My partner Jennifer, she loves food and she loves cooking as well, and she understands also too what I love to do. Um, so that's a key point, is having a partner that understands that you want to do this. Um, Another part is having ownership, owners that work with you and that are positive, not having disgruntled owners that don't want to work with you or do not want to have any feedback. And that's probably the worst thing you could do. The best thing to do is, like right now, like I have three owners that, like I said, we all work together and it's all positive vibes. And at the end of the day, like we just want to make people happy.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I know for me too, my wife was really supportive too, but the thing for me is like once I had kids, everything kind of changed for me. Before I had kids, I didn't mind working the late hours and stuff, but that I'd say that was probably the turning point for me, was having kids. But you recently got married, Sean. Was it last year you got married?
Yeah, it was last year at Elora River Festival.
Yeah.
You were
And
there.
what made you decide to get married at a music festival?
So we're really good friends with the owners from Riverfest. Um, and then I proposed to Jennifer at the Elora Brewing Company, and then one of her friends, John Rolson, walked by, who is one of the owners of Elora Riverfest. Suddenly said, "Hey, why don't you guys get married at Riverfest?" And Jennifer and I go to concerts all the time. Like we probably go to shows like, I don't know, like two a month, once a month. We both love music, and before I could say yes to it, Jennifer was like, "Yeah, absolutely, let's do that." So we got married, and we had our wedding party up on stage, and then everyone that we knew from Elora watched us get married last year before the Creep Show. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it was an easy planning wedding for us in the beginning, but it rained a lot, and then the skies parted for some sun, and then the skies closed, and it rained all Riverfest. But it was a great time. Our first year anniversary is in August, which is actually on Riverfest. So
That's so cool, man.
yeah, man.
That's awesome. My wife and I used to go to Riverfest for our wedding anniversary because we got married in August as well, but we haven't been the last couple of years. But super cool spot. It's always so cool to go back there and see all the people, because that's Laura's right beside Fergus where I grew up, and see all those people that I grew up with and stuff. And that's so cool that you guys got married at the music festival. And did you have any like pushback from your family at all, that you weren't having like a traditional wedding or anything like that?
No, like, cause my parents have passed on. Um, so my sister was there, and Jennifer's family was there, and they know what type of people we are and what we do and what we love, and they're all supportive of it, man. It was all positive vibes, dude.
That's awesome. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, man.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah, and it sure rained a lot that weekend too. I think the show got canceled that night.
Yeah, so what they had to do is they had to move everything to the Allura Legion. So, which was actually kind of cool because we still got to see Moni and Il Scarlet, which was wicked. But yeah, the weather wasn't on the right side that day.
Yeah, that was brutal, man. Yeah, I guess my next question for you is like about, you've been in the industry for a long time, and I'm just wondering, what you've noticed has changed with, like, the quality of staff over the years. I'm not sure how to word this, but like the work ethic that we had 20 years ago, or the expectations that were expected of us when we were apprentices, compared to the work ethic of the young kids you have working for you nowadays. Like, what sort of challenges or changes have you noticed, from your perspective in your career?
So like let's do that one from the beginning. So like when you and I were growing up in the industry, like you were there, like you were at the restaurant, right? And even if you didn't have all your mise en place ready for 3 o'clock, you're expected to be there a couple hours before, working on your own time, making sure your station is set up, making sure everything's working, making sure all the pieces are going together. Which is great. I don't think if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be the chef I am today. But it's hard to, how do I say this? Even right now, like with like kids in the kitchen, stuff like that. Like there's some kids I have it where like they'll come in early and they want to learn and stuff like that too. But at the end of the day, like, times have changed. And so you can't really tell people to come in early and not get paid for it and make sure their section's all set up, right? I think back in the day, like you and I and a lot of other people that we know were groomed and built differently, if you will, where we had that passion and we know we wanted to be a chef. And like now there's kids that want to be chefs, but it's like, okay, well, you can't really ask them not to come in and get paid for it, right? You know what I mean? Like back in the day, like, like we were asked, okay, would you mind, like we have a pate on, okay, well, if it's not set, it's up to you to make it and make sure it's set for 6 o'clock, right?
Yeah.
You can't really do that now, but I think, but also too, it's really positive right now because it's not like the old guard where it's like, we chef, I chef, do this now, da da da. There's a lot more communication, and right now, as a chef, I always make sure I say please. I always make sure I say thank you, because I know when you and I were growing up in the industry, we never got a please or thank you. It was do it now. But I think you catch a lot more bees with honey than vinegar, right? It's positive and refreshing to hear someone say, oh, simply, and saying the other person saying you're welcome, right? Like you wouldn't get that. I think with how the industry is right now, it is a lot harder, and there's a lot of other struggles that you have to go along with, like staffing in a restaurant for sure. But I believe if you stay positive and you always make sure you say please or thank you, I think the staff respects it a lot more, and you'll get a lot more out of them too, right?
Yeah, one of the big things that I tried to do a lot when I was a head chef was just give people appreciation. If you notice someone doing something, like a lot of chefs will just constantly be picking out everything you're doing wrong all day, but I always found that if I walked by, I would always try to compliment something that person's doing, like, hey, good job on this, or like, wow, who made this? Like, great job cutting this, or just whatever, just to kind of boost people up a little bit. But I think we're very similar in that sense. We kind of lead lead with positivity and not the negativity, which is funny because we came from a negative sort of background.
Oh, dude, did we ever?
And it would blow my mind too. I'd have guys in the kitchen and I would leave them in charge for 2 minutes, say if I was going to a meeting or something, and all of a sudden they're yelling and screaming at everyone like power tripping. And I'm saying, where are these guys getting this from? I don't talk to people like that, so I
Yeah.
don't understand where that comes from.
And that's the thing too, is like there's a lot of kids I work with that actually they're all amazing. But we always, like, at the end of the night, we always give fist bumps. Like, there's one kid I work with. I'm gonna give him a little shout out, Ashton. Um, he came in not knowing how to use a knife, not knowing how to cook, and everyone there is amazing. But him and I can do the dining room on our own. You know what I mean? But they're all amazing. We all give fist bumps. We all joke around. And if you don't laugh in the industry, if you don't make jokes, and you've known me for so long, like 3/4 of the time I'm always joking about something or have a smile on my face. But if you're not happy, and if you're not joking, and if you're not making people feel part of the team, and if you're not complimenting on what they're doing, or even going to the servers and saying, hey, listen, great job. Like, at the end of a busy night, I'll go out to the servers and be like, hey, thank you very much for tonight, because everyone works hard and everyone does the job right, and everyone means to do well. Sure, you'll have hiccups, right? And sure, in a moment of during service, like, you may raise your voice, like, okay, why didn't table 2 go out, or whatever. But at the end of the day, I always make sure I say thank you to everyone there, the service staff and the kitchen staff, and especially the dishwashers too. But if you don't, like I said, if you don't joke and smile, it's not going to go the way you want it to go, and people won't want to sit there and work, right?
Exactly. I totally agree with everything you just said there too. And I think I was the exact same as you. Is I would finish my shift and I would go around to every person in the kitchen and say thank you, no matter how good or how bad the night was, no matter what happened. Thank you. Shake everyone's hand. The servers, thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Yeah, it's just a respect thing, because you need to have that sort of respect from the kitchen and the front of house as well. Yeah, that's super important, man. Super important. You know, how do you? I guess my next question would be like, how's your mental health these days, and what sort of things do you do to sort of deal with your mental health? Because I know being a chef and working in a kitchen is a very stressful job, and it's sometimes a thankless job because there's always more and more and more stuff being thrown on your plate. I know for me that was one of the hard things to deal with. But what are some things you do to deal with your mental health and to keep yourself staying positive?
I think, like I said, like, my partner Jennifer, my wife, she's amazing. She's always has a smile on her face. She can always tell if I had a rough day at work. Talking to her about my day, and being as open as we are with our careers and what we do, helps out a lot. I used to do competitive weightlifting on the side, but I got a hernia, and then I was told I couldn't lift heavy anymore. So I was using that as like going to the gym, and using that as like a downtime after work, right? But right now I picked up jogging again, and then working out a little bit in the morning. Not lifting too heavy, just like doing like kettlebell swings and stuff like that, just to keep the knees and the mind and the elbows going. Music is a huge part of my life as well. What else? I read a lot. Actually, I read a lot of cookbooks when I come home. So I'm actually sort of not come home from work, but I'm always like learning different things too. I have a real interest in politics. I think right now in the world is kind of upside down right now. But that's another subject for another day. But yeah, I know it's coming home, listening to tunes. The podcast keeps my mental health going, because like when I come home, I usually have like 2 or 3 I have to do. Um, and then like we just started putting on like little punk rock shows at the Handsome Devil um, at the end of the month. So that's fun. And like, yeah, just hanging out at home. We have 3 cats. We don't have kids. We have 3 cats. So one's Olive, one's Pimento, and the other one is Mr. Martini.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Animals are
Yeah, man.
awesome. Animals are great stress relief too. I
Yeah,
know.
totally. Like, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, man.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah, I think like having kids and animals, like it helps your day to day, man. Like when I come home, I tickle the kitties, right? Each one of them, fucking look at them like, "How was your day today?" They just look at me. They're like, "Pick me up," and meow, 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 meow.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm curious. I know for myself that I used to use drugs and alcohol a lot to deal with my stress and anxiety for many, many, many years, and I'm curious, if that was a part of your journey as well, and if so, how you were able to move through that.
Yeah, so I did as well. Like I still drink and smoke the odd marijuana and smoke cigarettes, but I used to do a lot harder drugs than that. Um, but I woke up one day and I looked in the mirror and I said, "You gotta stop doing that shit because you look like ass." And I did. Like look in the mirror, I looked like complete dog shit.
Yeah.
So I did. I got rid of that monkey off my back, which was probably the most positive thing I've probably done. Um, but like like having the odd beer and stuff like that after work, but it's fine. But back in the day, like I used to stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then get up and go to work and probably get 4 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep, and I did that for a better half of I don't know 10 years,
Yeah.
and I was just like, you can't do that anymore, man. Like, don't get me wrong, like if you can monetize, is that a word? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Monetize? Yeah, it's a word. We just made it a word if it's not. Um, if you can monetize what you do and your vices, for sure, right? But if some one of your vices are getting out of control, you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Mhm.
And I think it takes a stronger person and a bigger person to realize that than having someone else tell you, right? But at the end of the day, too, like um, you may need someone to tell you, say, "Hey, listen, chill the fuck out," right? Like I lost a really good friend this past year, and love him to death, and he passed away of addiction, and it's a thing, and you hopefully people have the right people in their corners to sit there and tell them, "Hey, listen, like you got like I said, you got to check yourself because it could go down one way, it could go down the other, right? Like if you're fortunate enough to sit there and figure it out on your own, perfect. But if you need help, there's numbers, there's people there to direct you in the right direction.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I can remember when I got my first head chef job when I was 30, so that was like 13 years ago, and we used to stay out drinking till 6 in the morning. And when we heard the birds chirping and the sun was starting to come up, that's when it was time to go to bed. And then, I don't know, have a quick couple hour nap and then get up. And then I'd be back at work at 9, 10 a.m. and then at work till 11 o'clock at night and then do it all over again. And I don't even know how I lived through that. I wasn't eating. I was living off of coffee and cigarettes and then just boozing it all night and then stuffing my face with whatever food at the bar or stopping at McDonald's on the way home. But just crazy, man. Just crazy.
I think right now, like the industry's changed that way too, because you don't see a lot of chefs doing that now.
No.
I know, to be honest with you, like when Jennifer and I go to concerts, and if I'm up past 1 o'clock, there's a good chance I've taken a nap. I'm the ripe age of 44, but I don't think you see a lot of chefs doing that now. Um, it's it's I think like with books like Anthony Bourdain's book Kitchen Confidential and stuff that's happened to other celebrity chefs, right? I think a lot of chefs right now sort of take care of each other and take care of themselves. You know what I mean? Um, to be honest with you, man, I haven't stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember
The last,
because
yeah. The last time I
I'm usually like 6 beers and it's time to go home.
the last
Okay.
time I stayed up that late was probably when I had babies that weren't sleeping, and I was up all night.
Actually, when we got Mr. Pimento. We got Pimento, our second cat. That's the last time I stayed up past 4 o'clock because she was crying. She was like, "Where the fuck am I?" And then 2 days later, she nestled in and she knew where she was. They're all sleeping right now, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard a statistic the other day. And it's like the first year that you have kids or have a kid, you lose 40 days worth of sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't look like you've lost that. You still look beautiful like the first time I've seen you.
Yeah. Well, my kids are a little bit older now, so I went through those when the twins were born, they were colic, so I didn't sleep for about a year, and that was
Holy
insane.
fuck.
I didn't.
That's colic. I don't know.
Colic is when they just cry all the time and they don't sleep. And the only way we could get them to sleep, the twins, was in a swing. So we had these like electric swings which had batteries in them. So we'd have to get up in the middle of the night to change these batteries, and they were like those massive batteries. So we'd spend like hundreds of dollars on batteries a week. It was just crazy. But that's the only way they would sleep. But then it
That's
turns
insane.
out it's just like a gas thing. So they're uncomfortable. They just had gas. Like they just needed to fart or whatever. We took them to a chiropractor when they were almost one, and then everything was good. But just crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can't imagine. Well, I can because like the cats are up. They sleep 3 hours, and Mr. Martini's up at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Meow 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 meow. I'm like, dude, get to bed.
It's just one of those things where you normally wouldn't want to do it, but you got to do it if you have to do it.
Yeah, man.
I can remember nights where all three of my kids peed their beds when they were like, in that phase of wearing underwear to bed, and up 3 times changing bed sheets and doing laundry. And it's like by the third one, it's like, really? And then the next day I went out and bought these like plastic lining sheets for their bed so that at least if they peed their bed, like the bed's good. But
How many
I mean,
beds did you buy, or
what's that?
did you have to replace any beds?
Maybe I don't remember. I'm not sure. I don't think it got that bad that we had to replace it. It's just wet, and then yeah, we got to the point where we had double protectors on the bed, so we'd have like a plastic sheet around the whole bed and then one on top. So if they peed their bed, we just have to take that one off, and there was still a protector on there. Like that's how bad it was. So there was like haven't had to do that in a while though, so that's good.
That's
That's good.
crazy. Well,
Yeah,
hopefully you don't.
yeah. It's crazy, man. What a ride. Love it though. And what do you think on the topic of, drinking, like the way we used to drink compared to now? Like I almost feel like the whole culture around drinking has changed a lot because, when I first quit drinking for the first time like 12 years ago, everyone that I worked with was like, "What the hell's wrong with you, man? How come you're not coming to the bar?" And people weren't really supportive of it. But
Hmm.
I feel like the culture around drinking has changed. Obviously there's still people drinking, but I just feel like people don't party like they used to. Like when we were in high school, we would get drunk down by the river on a Saturday night, and there would be like 20 of us, and we'd have like a huge party and stuff. But I just feel like the whole culture around that is changing. People are leaning towards more healthy choices now, and being sober is actually cool, where it used to be like if you weren't drinking, there was something wrong with you. But I think it's a lot more accepted now. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think we're in our 40s right now, so we don't see too much of that. I think kids are still hanging out and having a good time. Sober's been cool for years, man. There's a community in the punk rock community, straight edge, man. There's a lot of bands that were straight edge, like in the 80s, like um, a band called H2O, right? The lead singer from that band has never touched a drop of alcohol or drug his whole life, right? And even the band Minor Threat and Fugazi, they were a straight edge punk band, and all they served at their shows was Coca-Cola, and it was all ages. So sober's been cool for a while. It's just if you want to be sober, and like, I totally understand if people want to have a beer or have a vice, for sure, right? Like having marijuana legal in Canada has a lot to do, I think, with drinking going on the DL and the down low. Like myself, like I smoke marijuana, like whatever. I find it calms me down. 3/4 of the time, I use it to get to sleep, right? Not all the time, but I think it's a better substitute than taking some sort of pill from the drugstore, like melatonin or whatever. But I think the kids are still going the way they're going. We're just not kids anymore. We don't see it. I hear about it at work. The kids still go, man. We're just we're 44 and we're 20 years ahead of them. But yeah, for sure, I think a lot of people are looking after their lives a lot more too. Like myself, like being a chef, like I don't always have the time to eat. So what I do in the morning is I work out a bit, and then I'll take a protein shake, which will have my protein in it, and then I think it's 3 scoops of veggie greens and some other stuff to get me through the day, because I don't always have time to sit down and have a meal. So I just want to make sure I get all my vitamins. But yeah, I think everyone's just like, maybe it's like calming down. Like, I don't know. Yeah. If that made any sense.
Yeah. And eating's important. I used to have that problem too. I'd work a 12-hour shift and I would not eat anything. And then people say like, oh, it must be so cool to work in a kitchen. You can just make yourself whatever you want. And if you did eat something, you're like, shoving it down your mouth as fast as you can, or sitting on
You're sliding a chicken finger in one swallow.
Yeah. Yeah. But like making food, when you cook food all day, you don't want to make anything for yourself because that's just more work. And then when you get home from work, you don't want to make anything for yourself because it's like you just cook food all day. You'd rather just go to McDonald's or something.
Yeah, and at the end of the day too, you got to like a lot of chefs too, I think in this day had to retrain their brain to do that, right? I know myself, like when I come home, like again, like in the morning I have a protein shake. I make sure I sit down and eat at work, right? But like I said, like you and I were built differently than people in the industry getting into the industry now, because like you said, we used to sit there and work 12 hours, not eat, just drink water and coffee and pop and, have beers after work, and then go to another bar and to another bar and to another bar. And, I think that in the industry has tamed down. Like I don't, like in the community of chefs where I work, in the community restaurants, that usually doesn't happen. I'm assuming it happens like in bigger cities, whatever. But like, you back in the day, you would always like meet at a pub with all the chefs or cooks in local areas and stay out till 2:00. But in the community where I work, and that usually doesn't happen. Actually, rarely happens. Like it maybe happens. Like actually, it doesn't. I'm thinking about it right now, because a lot of the chefs that work where we live all have homes and all have kids or have partners they want to get home to, right? And like, don't get me wrong, like having a couple of beers after work and like talking about the day is cool, but like I haven't been out to a pub, stayed out till like 3 a.m. in years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think, I think it still does happen with the younger kids. Like they still go out and stuff like that. But like you said, sir, the original question with alcohol, I think a lot of with the legalization of marijuana, I think help with that. And I think it's a good thing. It's a positive thing, man.
Yeah, I was going to ask what your thoughts are on the legalization of marijuana.
Well, here it is. Um, you don't hear a lot of people uh, getting in trouble with marijuana. You know, when I smoke it, I turn my Xbox on, I throw on NHL 25, grab some munchies, and that's it. But like when you get like people with alcohol and stuff like that, you get people like drinking and driving, and then spousal abuse, and then getting in fights. Like I think marijuana is a lot more positive vibe than alcohol for sure.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to have people getting in fist fights after they get all stoned off smoking pot like they would with alcohol. That's for sure. I had
No, I
to.
just want to sit and watch Sports Center. That like, but whatever.
Yeah, and eat munchies, man. Eat
Yeah,
munchies,
man.
especially with Skip the Dishes. You can just order whatever you want. Oh, I'm craving a burger. But
We got
for
paid
me,
three times as much for the burger though.
I know, I know.
Make sure you have the burgers in the freezer.
For me, I had to quit smoking pot as well because I don't have the self-control with drinking or with smoking pot. So I think smoking, just like drinking too, smoking pot in moderation is good. Like you said, using it for sleep or whatever. But I just go off the deep end with anything that I do. I do it like I'm all or nothing. So once I start smoking pot, if I smoked a joint today, within the next couple of days, I'd be smoking from 6 a.m. in the morning until 12 o'clock at night. And I would just be smoking all day. And I'm just like a shell of myself. And I'm just like, but that's not what it's meant for. So same with drinking. Like I've tried a few times just to drink casually and have a beer or a glass of wine here or there, but unfortunately it didn't work out for me because it just turns into a raging alcoholic again. So, but that's cool. I don't need that. I don't need that stuff in my life. And I think it's cool that marijuana is legal as long as people are using it properly. But I also think it has the potential to sort of dumb people down if people are using it all the time and using it like to the extent that I was using it where they're just stoned all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But some people need it for pain and stuff like that, and I don't think there's enough research yet to sort of prove like this helps with this and this helps with this. And the dosage, like the weed now is so strong and it just
Mm-hmm.
like it's like insane when you how often you smoke, but if you just smoke every now and then, it is quite strong. But you can buy different strains and THC levels and stuff, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, see, like I smoke it on my days off. Okay, like if I
Yes.
have like and that's the thing too is like I don't like I'm a big advocate like of, and I haven't done this in I can't ever remember. Because back in the day, you would sit there like a lot of cooks and chefs would sit there and smoke before like marijuana, get high, or do other drugs, or even drink on the job, right? So when I started to sort of get, I guess you could say narrow, not straight edge, but narrow, um, I stopped drinking, having a beer in the kitchen after work. When you used to clean the line,
Oh yeah.
like you have the odd beer. I haven't done that, and I don't do it where I work. And I don't do it anytime where I work because it doesn't lead to anything too, right? Like, um, like you sit there and have a beer while you're cleaning, while you're in your apron. It's like, okay, you know why I can do this in the afternoon. Well, I can do this, you know, anytime I want. So I stopped doing that a long time ago. And that was a big help of me sort of getting, I'm going to call it in the narrow. That's what I'm going to call it. Not straight edge, in the narrow. Because I still drink whatever, but like when I was drinking and using drugs excessively, like I was doing it while I was working. Like I would sit there and have a beer at the end of my shift while I was cleaning down, while I was doing a veg order. And even now, like I'll sit there and do my veg order, my prep list, and they're like, "Would you like a beer?" I'm like, "No, I still got my apron on. I'm still working." And I save it for afterwards. I think that's the self-control I have. And I've had that for almost over, like I said, around 10 years, 8 years.
That's smart, especially that's super smart, especially since you're in a leadership role too, because you're setting an example for everyone else that works under you as well. So, what type of example you want to set for people. I used to, when in my drinking day, I never drank during my shift, with the exception of when after the last check went out, it was beers for everyone. If I was drinking, everyone in the kitchen was drinking. And as soon as the last order went out, it was beers. But then, then that turns into more beers, and then that turns into forgetting to call in the veg order, and that turns into the guy, making pasta dough before he goes home, forgets the pasta dough. He's making it ready for the next day, and then he forgets it in the mixing bowl. Then you got to make it again in the morning, and then you forget to, lock the fridge or whatever. And so I never used to, I guess I never used to drink during my shift. It was always near the end of my shift, but I guess that's still during my shift. And then there would be times when everyone would go home and I would stay back working till 12 o'clock or 2 in the morning, especially when I got my first head chef job, because I was all fired up, and I would just be getting wasted, just doing my thing.
Yeah, I think and that's the thing is like I stopped doing that. Like I said, like even now, like I don't do it. Like if my apron's on, I'm not. And like even like if they're making a special drink at the bar or whatever, and they're like, "Would you like a taste?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good. I still got my apron on. I'm working." As soon as the apron comes off, as soon as I clock out, sure, I'll have a drink. Um, but I put a stop to that when, like I said, like good 8-10 years ago, and I stand by that too. Like I worked at a few places in Laura, and it's like, no, like we're working, right? Like that's what we're doing, especially if we're doing events too, like charity events and stuff like that. You would have like chefs and be like, "Oh, have a beer, have a beer. There's beers in the cooler. There's beers in the cooler." I'm like, maybe we'll just wait till after the event and we get the aprons off, because that's not what we're about right now. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I like, no, I like that. You got great self-control. That's great. I know I was always, I was not
Oh,
much
you
for
used to
drinking.
know me back in the day. I didn't have a lot of self control either, right? So this is like an eye opener for you.
I was always big on getting high before work. I remember one time when I worked at the Elora Mill, I had like an hour before my shift, and I went for a back road tour and smoked a joint, and I got so high I got lost, and I ended up like in Elmira or Elma or something. And this is like before cell phones, before GPS, and I'm like, I just made it to work, but like that was the thing. Like the first kitchen I worked in, everyone was like, before service, all the cooks were going outside having a beer and smoking a joint. I remember when I was a dishwasher at the end of service, we'd go out and smoke a joint, and I would come in and I loved it. And I would just like clean the dish pit like I've never cleaned before. And there was music going and everything. But do you notice like any kids that work for you, are they coming to work high? And especially with these vape pens now, like you can just smoke it anywhere, and it doesn't have like that smell like you would if you were smoking a joint.
Um. Oh no, I can smell the vape pen. For sure I can. Um. I caught a few kids back in the day. I'm like, "You guys are smoking vape pens?" They're like, "No, we're not." I'm like, "You are. I can smell it. It smells like strawberry, and there's no strawberries here." So, um, um, no, I think a lot of, and hopefully, like I know a lot of the kids that I work with don't do it before, because I don't think, um, like I said, I don't think it was like when you and I were growing up in the old guard, right? I don't think it's really. I don't know. I don't think so. No, maybe I don't think so.
That's good.
But I know all the kids that work for me. I respect all of them, and they know what I'm about. And at the end of the day, like we all get along. But they also know when I like when I have to dad them, You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like say, hey, listen, don't do that. Don't. No. They're like, well, I'm like, no, don't do that. If you do, I'm calling your parents.
Yeah,
They're like,
I've done
oh.
that before. Threatened to call their parents. Yeah, that one always
Like,
works.
there is, yeah. No, I all the kids that work with me, they're pretty good, and they work really hard, and I know they know what I expect of them, and like when they work with me, hopefully I'm teaching them something that they will learn, but they will take with them in their life, if you will.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
Awesome, Sean. Well, we're coming to the end of our time here, brother. So
Oh, that's
before we
too bad.
I know it goes by fast, eh? Before
Oh.
we wrap things up, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners? Is there anything that we didn't cover today that you'd like to add?
No, I think we're good, man. You're doing a great job. I watch all your podcasts and listen to them. Listening to the sweet sound of your voice through my headset or through a speaker gives my day 100%. But no, I'm really proud of you. I'm really stoked to what you're doing. You're a really good chef. And I wasn't going to say you were, because you still are. But I think what you're doing right now, helping people and talking about wellness in your mind, is something that you're really passionate about, just as you were cooking. So, like I said, man, like, you're a really good chef, and you keep on going where you're going, it's going to lead up the same way, the same passion of you being a chef as what you're doing. Like, I look at it too, like, you're almost like, and I don't know if I could say it like this, but you're like a therapist, right?
Yeah.
Without having the big degree and going to school and stuff like that. Like, you're passionate about mental health, and you're passionate about how people lead their lives. And I think it's fantastic, everything you're doing. So
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that.
yeah, man.
Appreciate that. And you want to tell our listeners a little bit about your podcast too, where they can find it. And
Oh yeah, it's not like this. We don't do the video, eh? Like, it's only audio. So it's called Olives and Pimentos Podcast. We interview Southern Ontario punk rock bands from the States. We have a huge following in Colorado, which is cool. Shout out to Brayburn Records, because they're one of the sponsors on the podcast. But yeah, I think we're up to 140, 50 something. I don't know. There's so many of them. You can find it on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Deezer. If everyone listens to Deezer, I've never listened to Deezer. I just like saying Deezer. What else is the fucking thing on? Prime. And I think that's it.
That's awesome.
No.
You got on platforms. Do you do all the producing yourself? You do all that stuff?
Yeah, no, there's no producing whatsoever. So it's I just do it live from the floor, and then I don't edit any of it. I just throw it through Reaper, throw all the theme in the beginning, throw all the ads in the beginning, throw the interview in it, and then we got over 6,000 downloads right now. Which is fucking mental, because I don't understand why people want to listen to my fucking jaw jabber. But but yeah, give it a listen. Another thing to remember, support local music, support local shows, buy all the merch at shows. All bands don't get what they deserve. Remember, when you stream a song off Spotify, that artist is getting 0.0003 of a cent. So if there's a band that you're listening to, if they're on Bandcamp, buy the album, buy the merch, the vinyl, and you can go to a $15 show, or you can buy a $18 IPA. So go to the show; it's worth more than the IPA, and then just buy a cheaper beer.
That's a good point, brother. And where can people find you if they want to connect with you, Sean?
So my Instagram handle is at Marinating Chef on Instagram. I don't do the Facebook. Probably should, but I don't. So Marrying Chef on Instagram, and then find me or us actually, Olives and Pimentos Podcast on Instagram. Listen to independent music. It's great. And like I said, go to shows, support, because after the pandemic, a lot of venues closed down and a lot of bands broke up, but also too, a lot of bands got together and started playing again too. So, but yeah, go to shows and support independent music, buy vinyl, tape, t-shirts, and support your local SPCA too.
Awesome, brother.
Yeah,
and for everyone listening, I'll include Sean's information in the show notes below. If you want to connect with him, make sure you check out his podcast, Olives and Pimento. That was great, Sean. Thank you so much for joining us today, man. I really appreciate it. It was so great to see you, and it's always a pleasure to chat with you, brother.
Jay, man, it was good to see you too. I got new glasses, eh?
Nice.
Fucking weird, eh? New windows.
No, they look good, man. They look good on you.
Yeah. It's like I'm Spartan stuff, but whatever. Okay, cool, man.
Awesome, brother. All right, we'll catch you later. Keep in touch, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Good luck. Cheers. Peace.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, Sean. And as always, if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram at transformative_pathways, and also on TikTok at Jason_Doby. You can also find my link tree in the show notes below, where you'll have access to all my social media, my email list, and my private community. And if this episode sparks something in you and you're feeling called to explore your own inner growth on a deeper level, I invite you to check out The Journey Within, my 12-week coaching program designed to help you break free from stress, self-doubt, and feeling stuck so you can live with more confidence, clarity, and purpose. Simply go to jasondoby.com or click the link below for more details. And if you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love it if you could like, subscribe, and follow us on your favorite listening platform. And if you'd like to support the show, we would be so grateful if you could take a moment to leave us a review. It would mean so much to us and also help the show reach more listeners. Again, thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward with connecting with you again soon.
This has been the Transformative Pathways Podcast with your host, Jason Doby. Tune in each week for more insights, inspiring stories, and transformative journeys. Until then, keep exploring the path to keep your best self. Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network, powered by B2 Studios.